There's a wonderful synthesis in Cromarty between people who've been here forever and people like us who've just arrived but are seen to have something to offer.
I was born here, so I've come back. But I've lived in Skye, Inverness, Spey Valley, back here.
I know by working with Black Isle Wine that the opportunities we have here are not the same in every other community. We are really lucky in Cromarty. Any of the projects that you're on, mostly now will have a website and will have a Facebook page to get the information out there.
People want to be here, so they do stuff. So they have the arts, and they have the History Society, they have plays going on, they have, a lot of things that in a city I wouldn't bother going to, but you do because it's only around the corner.
Well, I think we're more relaxed. There's no hassle and bustle in Cromarty. Our neighbours, everyone knows one another. So if somebody wasn't coming out their house in the morning and something happened, next door neighbour going to make sure if they were still all right.
We're 90 miles from the Highland City, we've got an airport on our doorstep, so lots of people in this community, they commute, they work abroad. It's quite an eclectic mix, and I think that's what makes it work.
Cromarty is a small rural community of just over 800 people in northern Scotland. It has been a pioneer in digital communications, being one of the first communities to have dial-up internet, and then later on fibre optic cable, providing super-fast broadband connections. Researchers from the University of Aberdeen have been looking at what impact this has had on the community.
We are at the end of the road, so it's sort of psychologically everybody who comes here is choosing to stay here.
Even though many, many years ago it was a fishing village, it still is, but not to the extent that it was 100 and 150 years ago or more. But in terms of the type of people that are coming in here, they're looking for that sort of almost like island mentality.
Oh well, to me personally, I would say it's so quiet and very friendly people. Everyone speaks to everyone knows one another.
It's an incredibly beautiful place, and it's a wonderful community.
I never really thought I would enjoy a rural place until I lived here. I don't know if I'd like it. A lot of other rural places as well as this.
Being in a nice environment is certainly good, but sociologists look at communities in terms of social cohesion. Social cohesion consists of three main elements: social networks, a sense of pride and belonging, and a sense of solidarity, or doing things for the common good.
Oh, well, I think if you talk about a really good contemporary community, this would be it.
When you move here, you can move here with loads of enthusiasm, thinking you'll throw yourself into everything.
In Cromarty especially, there's a lot of folk that just want to do stuff and then do it, film festival or restaurant or football club.
I found a way of being a professional musician in Cromarty, which is to set up Cromarty Youth Opera.
We did the Homes and Heritage project. We quite often do a lot of intergenerational work, working with older people. We're going to be working on the medieval dig.
There's an incredible youth cafe.
We have a dancing club, a sailing club. At times through the year there'll be a badminton club, there'll be football, we've done shinty, basketball.
There's the bakery, the cheese shop and all these sort of things.
In the summer we get an influx of visitors worldwide.
I'm on the best part, I think, of about 18 committees, and we have young people on at least 10 or 12 of them.
The secondary school was a big pull because it's an excellent school.
The truth is it became more and more difficult to leave, so we thought, well, why don't we just go and live there?
All right.
The best way to communicate with the outside world here was by sea, okay? And there's a lot of big houses here because it was quite a rich trading town. And these tiles there came from Holland. Ships would go down there, sell what they had to sell, and for ballast, to keep the boats steady, okay? They took the cheapest thing you could get, old tiles, brought them up, and they just threw them on the beach, and anyone could use them.
From about 25 years ago onwards, we saw a lot of change in the town, buildings being renovated, new people moving in, and life coming back into the town, I'd say. And it just happened to coincide a few years later with the coming of the technology that we now use here. And when we started, one of the problems was we were still stuck with the old phone lines and things like that. So we were very much in the forefront of trying to demand better communication systems, basically because we realised this was going to be really important for particularly small rural communities, and obviously for us as a business.
Social networks, a sense of pride and belonging, and a sense of solidarity can be assisted through digital communications. Social networks can be assisted by email, social media sites, or spreading information about how to participate in associations and clubs. A sense of pride and belonging can be generated with help of a community website, through recording and disseminating community events, or creating a community history website, which creates a sense of identity with the past. Social solidarity and doing something for the common good can be helped by spreading information about events, associations and opportunities for volunteering.
If you want to say something quickly to a lot of people in Cromarty, then a lot of them are on Facebook.
People locally will put something on there. You may be missed in the post office window. But interestingly enough, there are people online I don't really know, like that I have on Facebook, that are doing things in the community that I'm like, wow.
I'm involved with the Film Society, so we have the Film Society website, we have a film festival website, and the same with lots of other sports clubs and things like that. They all seem to have their own web presence. I suppose we've done a lot to actually create communication systems for all the different organisations within the town. There is a range from individual businesses, usually mostly small businesses, craft businesses and things like that, to the other community-based systems. So we have a number of community websites, not just one, but we have several. For example, there's something that we call Cromarty Live, which is probably the one that most people would see if they're coming into the area or they're looking at the area from a distance.
Before we moved here, we used to look at it quite frequently because it's got so much information on what's going on, events, classes, sales, new organisations or businesses opening.
On the other hand, we have our image archiving websites, and one of our biggest ones is a Cromarty archive. And that now has thousands and thousands of pictures on it.
You send in the photos that you take, or they'll have discussions on it too. People will be discussing where that was, who was in it. It's quite intriguing to look at because a lot of them are old, and they will be discussing, who had that shop, who did this.
You'll see a picture of somebody that you had forgotten even existed. I think it's important because it's part of who you are, part of where you've come from.
It's brought together people in some very strange ways and interesting ways, but it's also unearthed all sorts of different history elements to the town. So, for instance, some of the interesting facts about buildings, about people, and particularly about things that have been long gone. And all these combine to make a fantastic picture of a community past, but also present as well, because we also have lots of people that talk about daily events all the time. It's just being added to. So, as I say, I call it an archive, but it's a living archive, I suppose, because it is bang up to date as well.
All communities contain conflicts and divisions as well as social solidarities. The key to a good community is how these divides can be bridged. Divides can exist between young and old who use digital technology in different ways, but might come together in common projects. Divides can exist between incomers and locals, which can be bridged through common meeting places, institutions, and through the community websites. Divides can also exist between different ends of town with different social backgrounds, which can be bridged through common events and happenings and the common websites.
At one time there was definitely a sort of cultural divide, I think, within the town, and I think over the last 10 years or so we've seen that change a wee bit.
When I first came into the post, there was very much a feeling that some young people felt that the people from the other end of town, where there's a lot more professional academic people are living, that was the better end of town, and that the area of deprivation, if you like, which people would see as Townless Park, where I live, I must add, is where there would be your kind of single parents, number of children and all sorts of issues. I have a lot of older relatives here, and quite often in conversation they would say to me, you know, all this newcomers, they come in and they take over. But it's not the people at the other end of town that feel like that. They do come in and they join every committee and they're very active in making change, and I've never had a problem with that. We've always been all-inclusive in our project, and it's always both ends of town, so there's a rich mix of that.
I don't think it's a bad thing that there's a divide either. I think that can be quite good. And you're always going to have little cliquey groups as well. But you know, you'll get that in every community.
Cromarty works as a community because it is economically, environmentally and socially sustainable, despite being in a remote rural area. This social and economic sustainability depends upon tourism and the presence of an artistic and creative community. It is also sustainable because of the large number of social and community enterprises. Digital communications enable these business and social enterprises to thrive, and tourism to reach people far afield, attracting people to the area. Digital communications help to link creative communities and enable them to reach wider audiences, as well as ensuring that festivals and events have audiences. Finally, it enables distance working and small businesses to thrive, cutting down on commuting.
I think what we've done with Cromarty Youth Opera actually says a great deal about Cromarty, because we were able to do it. We had only lived in Cromarty for a year. We got a total of nearly 700 people. You know, we have people from both ends of the town, from every corner of the town, coming together, singing, enjoying a performance together. And it isn't necessarily the case in a small town that you get that feel. So we're very lucky.
Groups of people from other communities come here to see what we're doing right, because it's been so successful in all sorts of ways. And I think they go away with sort of some idea of what they think it should be, but I don't think it's real. I don't think it fits for other communities. I see it as a mixture of the people, the situation, you know, the geographic situation that the town is in, and some of the ways that things have developed over time. And that's not the same for other communities. There's probably very, very few communities that work in the same way.
Cromarty is of course a beautiful place, but it is the people there who have made it a good place to live. Digital communications have helped to make it an even better place to live, evolving alongside strong community solidarities and helping to bridge social divides. Good communities are also healthy places to live because health is promoted by good social relationships. Good communities are prosperous places because social cohesion encourages prosperity and vice versa. Good communities are also good places to grow old because people help each other. Rural communities are often ageing communities, so it is even more important to build strong social relationships and services that can socially support people as they grow older.
I'll go home now and get a cup of tea. Keep me back from my 11 o'clock tea break, near 12. Half of that one. Right, thank you.
Right.